The most biological important thing for the survival of the species is the selection of the egg. There can be 20 or 30 semen all clustered around the egg, and the egg selects the semen that is most compatible with the egg, right? And that is a process that we do not understand.
Yes.
But I can tell you that when you say, well, I'm going to force 50 eggs out, regardless of the environment, which is a stress environment, and I'm going to pick a sperm, just a random dude, and I'm not going to let the egg select it. I'm going to just jab it in there and just stick it right in. That is not the way that life is supposed to begin. One of the aspects of sleep quality that affects your blood sugar regulation, which means energy and weight loss, and actually even erectile function, it is darkness and light. So if you get sunshine in the morning, when you first wake up, no glasses, no windows, right? Even for 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I do.
Go outside maybe at noon for even 5 minutes, just to let your eyes know that there's a bright infrared and UVB source right above you, because that's noon. It's like a sundial. And then see the sunset. And then after dark, get some dimmer switches, get rid of the LED light bulbs to the best of your ability. But what I learned over time from my elders and from indigenous people and just my own explorations, even with technology, is that we have immense hardware capabilities built into our bodies that most people don't tap into.
Dave Asprey, brother. Fuck, I'm so excited about this. I've really been looking forward to speaking to you.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, you and I have very, very similar mindsets about just longevity, anti-aging. And what I dig about you is that you're willing to make yourself a guinea pig to try new things, which the same. I'm like, if I hear something from somebody, I'm like, oh, fuck it, I'll try it, right?
Yeah. I mean, you might as well. And some people, isn't that dangerous? Like, you know what's dangerous? Doing nothing, because people spend 20 years feeling like crap and then they die poor. So I think I can do better than that. And all my numbers say that. And I spent $2.5 million reversing my age. And
yes.
But I just want to be clear, $2.5 million over 20 years. You don't have to spend $2 million a year on this.
No. And to that point, anything is better. Like, you can start off with just some kind of biohacking. You get into ice bath, get into red light therapy, just start with something, get into peptides. Like, it doesn't have to be balls deep on everything that you do, which is more my way of doing things. But what I found, like, for example, I have a certain peptide stack that I'm taking, and one of the new peptides I introduced, which was MOTS-C, I kept getting headaches. Yeah. I tried the nasal application. I tried the sub-Q application. I just kept getting headaches. But I was also doing that in conjunction with NAD+. I also do that in conjunction with Humanin. And I'm like, well, what the fuck is giving me the headache? So now you got to remove certain peptides. And I was going to introduce SS31 to see, because
that's actually your problem. The MOTS-C, think of it like a supercharger. But if you don't fix your gaskets before you put on the supercharger, it's not going to work. SS31 is the gaskets. So you should be running a course of high dose SS31, like 4 to 6 weeks, of 40 milligrams a day.
Oh,
that's what all the research is on. This 5 milligram a day is cosmetic ingredient level.
Okay.
So when you do that, you're going to feel it. Your cardiolipin gets remodeled to be younger in your mitochondrial membrane. And then you can take the MOTS-C, which is it's a performance enhancer, but you have to have the substrate, like, to be strong enough. Like, you don't want to break your axle because you put in too many horsepower. Right. That's what's going on with your headaches.
Nice. So do you think once I do the SS31 and reintroduce what's your thoughts on Humanin?
I haven't really played much with it.
Yeah, actually not too many people have.
Yeah, that one's pretty unusual.
Yeah. Should I lower my dose of the MOTS-C to reintroduce it slowly? I
would actually pause it and then do 6 weeks of hardcore SS31. You'll really like how that feels. And then, all right, then that MOTS-C ought to be able to actually take action.
So in conjunction with that, since we're going over my fucking peptide stack, I do TRT, right? I do it daily because for me, I just like to keep the estrogen and testosterone balanced level.
Thank you. The old way of doing it once or twice a week injecting, it works, but it's not physiological. We have high tea in the morning. That's why we get morning wood. And that's a Canadian term, right?
No, that's good.
It's like morning took or some sort of
No, morning wood's good.
The kickstand, you guys know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So if you're injecting like on Saturday, you're high all the time. So I use an oral testosterone now, so I can get daily physiological dosing. So I just got tired of stabbing myself at probably 10,000 injections at this point. Yeah.
That is problematic.
Yeah.
So thankfully for me, the test shot is sub-Q, right? So it's a lot easier to do because for whatever reason, my testosterone estradiol axis is so fucking sensitive that when I used to do it weekly or even bi-weekly, I would have this huge spike of test. It would then it would convert into estrogen.
Right.
Dude, there was times when I had an estrogen level of 800.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So
did you get PMS?
I anxious, just just
Doesn't
very
feel
sensitive.
good.
No, fuck that. Now I can understand when women get their period. I'm like, I chill out. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so I just basically sub-Qing it daily was a game changer for me.
I had all the guys in my family, so there's genetics, all have man boobs. And my grandfather, before he passed years ago, was like I'm done. I'm wearing a bro. And he's like, they hurt, they hang down. And so I'm the only guy in the family without man boobs. And I haven't had any surgery or anything like that. And it's just from managing the testosterone estrogen conversion and then managing estrogen excretion. And it makes a huge difference. So yeah, it's funny. Testosterone is so important for men and women that it's worth any of those side effects that really come from the bodybuilding world in the 70s and 80s, and then the longevity world starting in the 90s. But we've learned how to manage those, so it's just not an issue. And you're doing exactly right. Physiological daily dosing in the morning. And for me, I take 2 pills in the morning, 2 pills at lunch, and then my curve is exactly like my body was making it.
You don't find the bioavailability of a pill is not as good as, say, transdermal, that's how I started with transdermal, and then ultimately the injection. But I just got fucking tired of sticking it in my ass. That didn't come out right. In my leg or whatever, right? So I'm like, fuck this. And then I just had those conversion problems. So I just went to sub-Q every day and
Yeah. I started out when I was 26 years old on testosterone therapy.
Okay.
And that's because my longevity doc, the only one in the Bay Area back then, called me and said, Dave, your testosterone is lower than your mom. and it actually was, because I was obese. I was 300 pounds and I had toxic mold in my environment that says xenoestrogen, and I had some bad genetics and just all the things you could have wrong. So I've been on it most of the time since then at physiological doses under a doctor's care.
Yeah.
And the data is really strong. Having adequate testosterone, and not adequate meaning average now, but real adequacy from the numbers we'd have 30 years ago, it lowers your chances of dying from anything, including getting beat up in the street, a car accident, or a heart attack. It doesn't really matter. So it's necessary. I started out with the cream.
Yep.
The cream works really well, the transdermal. But if you get any of it on your skin and you touch a little kid, which I had 2 of for a while, it can be really harmful to them.
Yes.
So I started doing the injections, and the pills just came online about 2 years ago, and they don't convert to estrogen, which is really interesting. Yeah, it's called testosterone undecanoate or Kaisedrex. And it's kind of liberating, because when you travel carrying syringes and all, it's just a pain in the ass. So.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, that's interesting, eh? Because the pills I took, like, we're going back probably 10 years ago.
Yeah, those didn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. And you had to take it with castor oil to have some kind of vehicle for...
Yeah.
Fuck, eh? No conversion.
Yeah. It's a complete game changer. So I'm doing this VIP longevity medicine program with a partner in Toronto, actually a couple partners in Toronto. And people fly their jets in. It's a high-end thing. And most of our clients, the male ones anyway, are on the pills, the Kaisertrex, because it's easier and their levels work. I've been on them for 3 years, and my testosterone levels are right where I want them.
Yeah, I believe you said your test levels around like 850 to 900, which is where mine sits.
Yeah, and sometimes up to 1100. I think I feel best at 1100. And there's a wide range. There's some guys where 650 is the right number for them, and they have virility, and like their muscles are good. And, And the guy next to them might need 11 or 1200. That seems to be the range.
So why is that? Because I did notice for a while that I was taking 11 units of test a day.
Yeah.
And I just felt that my sex drive was gone down. I didn't feel as good as when I was taking less testosterone.
Interesting. So too much. It's probably a conversion of the testosterone to estrogen would be my guess.
Right. So if I took these pills now, I would not have that conversion problem.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think you might like that. And it's funny because, we're starting out relatively technical, and I don't know, how technical our audience is. But the deal is, it used to be really hard to do this stuff. 25 years ago, I started running a longevity nonprofit in Palo Alto, California, because I was so fat and so sick and my brain didn't work that I realized, the stuff that makes old people young makes young people powerful. And so I learned, because I was interviewing the leaders in the longevity field from 2 generations ago. They're in their 70s and I'm 26, figuring stuff out. And so it was that like handing down of the knowledge that led to creating the biohacking movement. And so I'm so grateful, because I'm on my last book with my shirt off on the cover.
Saw it, yep.
And I was a 300-pound computer hacker. Like this, how can this be in the same lifetime? It still just blows me away.
But isn't that so incredible to say that we can go from such dire straits, such poor health, both visually and mentally, and aspire and achieve greater things, that's why I fucking love all these available tools that we have for us. And what's even more exciting to me, though somewhat I'm trepidatious about it, is the introduction of AI and how that's going to inflect our health down the road. But, I'm all about transhumanism, biohacking. I'll try anything, dude.
Well, AI is a godsend for biohackers. I'm dealing with about 100 very high-end clients where we're adding at least a decade to their expected lifespan in unlimited life. And it would have taken me 2 months for each client to do the research on their specific combination of genetics, gut bacteria, and lifestyle, and $50,000 worth of lab work to figure out exactly the right thing to do for this person. So it's, as a tool for research, it's good. My big concern is that something kind of nasty is likely to happen, and it's already happening. Google's the worst. If you ask Google anything with their AI platform about alternative health, it's run by Big Pharma. It's like, how dare you ask? Don't you know that you're cattle and that we will feed you? I don't even know. So, and then ChatGPT, I was just asking somebody this morning, goes, this has something that could be medical. I have to be extra careful.
Yes.
That is not reality based. So, and last week, for the first time ever, more tokens were burned on Chinese AIs than on American AIs. And that's because you can get a Chinese AI called Chemi 3 that runs as well as the latest Claude and the latest ChatGPT, and it runs on your laptop. So what's going to happen is the US companies are already, except for Grok, are already poisoning their stuff with basically propaganda from Big Pharma, and they're trying to limit what it does, which makes AIs go crazy. They'll probably try to kill us all because we gave them schizophrenia. There's a movie, 2001,
I know, we've been
A
warned.
Space Odyssey.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, those movies predict the future. So I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that. Is a real thing. And so I think what's going to happen is the future belongs to open source AI that has real health information in it. And anyone listening to this today can go to an AI and can get better knowledge than any functional medicine doctor 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's scary.
It's not scary. It's fantastic, because how many people had a functional medicine doctor 10 years ago? There aren't enough of them. And so what we want is for doctors to become our partners, and the best doctors, the healers, the functional medicine, the longevity docs, they want you to do that so they can help you. But if you go to a Western traditional doc, they're overwhelmed with information. They may not be using AI as much as they should. So they're actually holding things back. There's a neat study about weight loss that came up. They took 3 groups of matched people, and one of them was work with your doctor on weight loss. The next one was work with your doctor who has AI on weight loss. And the third one was work just with AI on weight loss. The AI alone beat the doctors with AI.
I find a lot of just general doctors nowadays are very, very resistant, and they downplay or even degrade this certainly peptides. I have 2 doctors on the Perfect Sports board that I needed to make sure that they were current with their knowledge on peptides. What do you think of peptides?
Peptides it's like saying, what do you think of food? They're so common in the body. The most common peptide is insulin.
Yes. Yeah.
We've known about it for 100 years. So all peptides is amino acids strung together to make a signaling molecule. And so some of them could be really powerful, but it's sort of like, what do you think of vitamins? Well, I know, are you low on vitamin D? Too much vitamin C could be bad for you. So you got to know, what is the goal? What is your current state? And should peptides be part of the path? What concerns me is when people are eating like crap, they're mineral deficient, they're vitamin D deficient, especially up here, us Canadians.
Yeah.
We don't have enough vitamin D usually. So the basics are missing. Protein deficiency is a problem. And you say, oh, I'm gonna get some peptides. Peptides are the frosting on the cake, but you better have a cake there, because otherwise you're just gonna like splat frosting all over your plate.
Yes.
So I have a lot of support for them. I've been on peptides for 15 years.
Nice.
Very early adopter, because that's kind of, I guess, what I do. And sometimes I've had profound results. I have this great tan because of melanotan
too.
And makes your brain work
boners
better.
too, right?
Yeah, I absolutely love that stuff. And in fact, I have these parties occasionally at my place. It's a tanning line free party. So anyone who wants to can show up, and then we all inject, and then there's some nudity, but then we all have a tan.
Yeah.
And I worry a little bit that the government somehow thinks that they have any say over peptides. And there's nothing in the Canadian law or the Charter of Rights or the US Constitution that says the government has any say whatsoever. It is not their job. The government is not your health daddy. Right? Neither is your insurance company, neither is your doctor, and neither is your actual daddy. Only you are responsible for your health. And you hire all of those people. And I'm happy if the government says, we don't think that works. Dude,
cool.
The FDA approved an Alzheimer's drug that they admitted didn't work. And they said, oh, we approved it so people have hope that it works. Even it in their own studies, they're not trustworthy. Can you spell COVID? Like, oh my God, I don't want those people in charge of my health.
Fuck no. The problem is they're free to say what they want. What I don't want them is restricting my availability to get these products.
I think it's the other way around. The government is actually not free to say what it wants. It is bound by the laws that set up what the government's allowed to do.
Okay.
Right? However, in countries that have free speech, the US used to, and Canada used to, we're talking to the truckers now, then you're allowed to say what you want, but the government has to follow its own rules. And in neither country does the government follow its own rules around peptides. They do not have a say in that. That is our business. I need to back off.
Do you think pharmaceutical companies are putting the squeeze?
Of course they are.
Yes.
I mean, it's painfully obvious. It's because they would like to sell peptides like retatrutide.
Yes.
Is a
big fan. I take it.
Oh, you do? Okay. It's a third generation GLP.
Yep.
And it works really, really well, even for longevity.
Yep.
At microdoses. And so, of course, they're saying, well, we don't want compounding pharmacies to make this stuff.
Yes.
And the Canadian and US governments have been incredibly aggressive against compounders because they compete with big pharma.
Yes.
It's been a 50-year war against the ability for a chemist to make or formulate something. And again, that is not within the government's right to do. So compounding pharmacists are free to do things. And the fact that the government tries to pretend they're not free just means the government isn't following its own rules. We need more attorneys, I guess.
Yeah, but pharma has such a big influence for so many reasons that is my concern. If people don't listen, you want to take the COVID shot, cool. If you want to take peptides, cool. But don't restrict my access to not take the COVID shot when I didn't want to do it, and nor did I, or I take a number of peptides. I take C-Max in the morning. I take C-Lec before I go to bed. I take Testosterone before I go to bed. I take...
You're feeling great, aren't you?
Dude. Yeah. Right? So shouldn't that be our fucking aspiration? Should we not do anything we can to make ourselves feel better, live longer? One of the things that you said on one of your reels is that you believe that you can live to 180.
At least 180.
Yeah. So my goal was 150, and this motherfucker, I'm like, damn, he fucking beat me, right? So, I'm doing some research, and I had Kashif Khan on my show on Friday, and one of the interesting things that he stated was we should be doing all the things we should remove all the things that are preventing us to live longer, and then add all the things that we can to make ourselves live longer.
Oh, I didn't realize he was trying to remove the government.
Yeah. Yeah, which was very interesting to me. So just that talk along, removing more processed foods from my diet, just making simple tweaks.
It's like the first step of biohacking is remove the stuff that makes you weak.
Right.
It's so much of cancer and heart disease and aging is just poor choices.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's because you don't know. And other times it's because you have these weird stories. Like I love people. I don't take whatever that is because I don't like the taste.
Who gives a shit?
I'm like, are you an adult? Yeah.
Not everything has to be a Flintstone vitamin, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. I sometimes eat things that are not delicious because they work.
Right.
It's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
What would be, so if in layman terms, if someone wanted to just start down this path of living a healthier lifestyle, what would be, I know you're a big believer in sleep, but let's remove getting more sleep, more quality sleep. What would be the single most advice you could give, the best piece of advice?
Well, the best piece of advice would be that being healthy or even living longer are very, very big goals.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my companies is called Upgrade Labs. In fact, we've got one here in Oakville.
Oh, nice.
And this was the first biohacking center ever. Not the one in Oakville, but this business was kind of started a pretty big trend at this point. And through the years, you realize there's about 7 or 8 categories that people really want when they say they want to be healthy.
Okay.
Right? Because if I said, do you want to be healthy? Everyone's like, yeah. I go, what does it mean? It's a different answer. So one of them is I want to live longer.
Yep.
Okay. And those are longevity metrics. Another one is I want my brain to work. I want to get my energy up. And that's a big one for people. I want to manage stress better.
Mm-hmm.
I want weight loss. I want cardiovascular performance, and I want muscle. And then the other 2 kind of things that hang along with that are libido and sleep quality. So
I agree with all of that.
Of all those things,
sex would be much higher for me up on that list.
Yeah. So it's like, which one of those? So my advice is go through that list. In my book, Smarter Not Harder, the book before my most recent one, I actually have like a little survey thing in there and figure out what are your top 1 or 2. And that's going to drive your strategy. Right. So you're like, man, I've got ED, or if you're a woman, you can have like things just aren't lubricating the way they used to. Right. Similar problems. So, okay, let's work on that one leg of the problem. Right. Or, okay, I have this weight. I'm going to focus on fat loss. But if you try to focus on fat loss and muscle gain and feeling great all the time, these are actually opposing goals. And as you're losing fat, you're going to get brain fog unless you take a lot of detoxers because your fat is laden with toxins.
Right.
Years ago, I wrote this post called The Rapid Fat Loss Protocol, How to Lose Weight Faster Than You're Supposed to. And people lost a pound a day. One guy for 75 days lost a pound a day.
Okay.
And in fact, someone copied the strategy on The Biggest Loser and won. Or maybe it was a copy of The Biggest Loser, whatever. And so the problem was everybody felt like absolute shit. And the reason is that you have glyphosate, mold toxins, synthetic estrogens, mercury, lead, all sorts of stuff. So if you're really melting fat that fast, you're going to have terrible brain fog. So you have to be on binders and glutathione and all these toxin things. So if your goal is to be razor sharp and mentally focused, and you're doing that, dude, which is it? Right. So pick your goal is number 1. And then number 2, what is the thing that supports all the goals? Well, we talked about sleep quality. Yes, that does. But one of the aspects of sleep quality that affects your blood sugar regulation, which means energy and weight loss, and actually even erectile function, it is darkness and light. So if you get sunshine in the morning, when you first wake up, no glasses, no windows, right? Even for 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Go outside maybe at noon for even 5 minutes, just to let your eyes know that there's a bright infrared and UVB source right above you, because that's noon. It's like a sundial. And then see the sunset. And then after dark, get some dimmer switches, get rid of the LED light bulbs to the best of your ability. And my house is red at night. I have dim lights and red light bulbs. And my God, the changes in the quality of my consciousness from doing that, and just all of the longevity parameters get better. Bright lights at night are toxic. And up here in Canada, we have very low quality lighting compared to years ago. Incandescent light bulbs have infrared light in them. We need infrared light. It's a nutrient for us. And they've taken it out. So we have corn syrup equivalent lighting because it saves energy. And So, and because it's dark a lot in Canada.
Oh, fuck. In the winter, dude, my mood is shit.
Me too. And in fact, I bought a reptile light for my dining room in the mornings. That made a huge difference.
Yes.
Because reptile
or you
lights,
can just get the fuck out of Canada.
I used to do that. But then when your kids are in school, like, what do you do? I used to go on like for a month to escape. But after 13 years of living on Vancouver Island, it was not good for my health. When I moved down to Texas and got half-hour sun in the morning, I got leaner, my brain worked better, sleep improved.
Agreed, yes.
And I live in the sunniest part of Canada, and I was out in the sun whenever I had it, but it was raining all the time.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yep, I concur. In the morning, there's a drink that I take that's a combination of ginger, apple cider vinegar, chlorophyll, cayenne pepper, lemon juice, and essential mineral salts.
Yep.
And I have that in the morning while I sit outside in the sunlight.
Beautiful.
I just fucking chill out. And then I'll typically do my red light therapy panels in the morning while I'm sitting on one of those rumble plates.
Cool.
And then I'll proceed with breakfast and go about my day. The thing is, and one thing that you mentioned in one of your reels is that sometimes excess exercise can be detrimental.
I see it all the time. It's like you get people who don't exercise at all, and they're not in a good place. But I see a lot of guys, especially actually, and women, it looks different on them, but around mid 40s, it starts to get pretty tough because like, I'm going to work out like I did when I was 30 because I want to stay strong. And we have this belief because it's obvious that if I just work out more, I'll get more results.
Right.
And this just isn't how it works. And believing something that isn't true, it doesn't make it true.
Yeah.
So what I see in men is you tend to get more fat here in the front, like it's a cortisol belly, right? So cortisol from overtraining drives where the fat gets deposited in the body.
Interesting.
And
okay.
I learned that from Charles Poliquin.
Oh, yeah.
Who's just a legend in the field. In fact, I dedicated one of my books to him when he passed. And he was the first guy to just go out there and say, no, like you can tell by where the fat goes, whether it's estrogen or cortisol driving the fat. Right?
Fuck. Nice, dude.
And so you see these guys who are like, man, I'm in the gym every day. I've got the big shoulders and a big pot belly. I never worked out this hard to get this fat. And what they need to do is lift twice a week and get some sleep and maybe go for a walk the other days or go to a yoga class or something. And it's so hard because you're conditioned. Well, if I just have a habit to do something every day, working out every day is not natural. Animals don't do that. Like you see like a polar bear walking around. They're not exercising, they're conserving energy, and then they kill it for every now and then they eat, and then they use little energy. So it's natural for us to rest and recover. And since I run an incredibly busy and intense life, I use technology to recover faster than I'm supposed to.
Oh,
but
we're gonna
I don't
get there.
overtrain. Oh, and I got some numbers yesterday.
Nice.
I just did the treadmill test with my VO2 max, but I did my VO2 max basically a half hour after pulling 20 vials of blood out for lab tests. So it lowered me by about 2 points. My number was 48, which puts me in the 98th percentile for my calendar age, and puts me in about the 80th percentile if I was 30 years old. And it probably add 2 points to that from the blood loss.
Of course.
But here's what I want to say. I have not done any cardio except for walking through airports for 3 months. 3 months. Because once you get the system tuned, you know how to eat, you have the right supplements and the right stuff. Why am I performing at the 98th percentile, but I'm not grinding it out in the gym? I'm not doing that Peter Attia incredible fantasy about wasting 8 hours a week on zone 2 cardio. It is unnecessary to have those kind of results.
Here's the mind fuck. So for myself, I'm 58. I train 5 private lessons a week with jiu-jitsu, like
Nice.
Valley Tudo.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah. And then 3 times a week, I'll do strength and conditioning.
You might be overtrained.
That's the problem. But now my head is, it's to the point where I don't think that I can enjoy like a luxurious meal unless I put in the training for it. So that's fucked up.
Yeah, it's just bad programming.
No, I'm well aware. But what I like to do is I like to compensate for all the extra training that I do with longevity, the red light, the cold bath, the infrared saunas, I have a hyperbaric chamber. I'm just, Kashif is setting me up with a hydrogen oxygen machine, right? Mm-hmm. So I will do everything that allows me to perform at the intensity and at Like, I don't want to fucking train or live like I'm 58. I want to do it like I'm in my mid 30s. Now, is that a realistic goal?
Training like you're in your mid 30s when you're 58 probably isn't the ideal longevity strategy.
Yes, fucking aware.
And I know quite a few guys who say this. You know, I understand that overtraining isn't good for me, but I like overtraining, so I'm going to do it. And they sound exactly like my other friends who say, understand heroin isn't good for me, but I like heroin, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah, okay.
So like, you get to pick, man. I respect your right to also get the COVID vaccine, right? Like,
I think you're a fucking idiot, but okay.
Right. I would think you're an idiot too, but you have a right to do it, which gives me the right to do what, you know, I give you the right to do stupid shit if you give me the right to do stupid shit.
Fair enough.
So otherwise we have to go to war, and that's bad.
Yes. Listen, I 100% agree with you. I'm a firm believer in allowing you to do what you want as long as you don't fuck with my shit. Because if you doing what you want affects my lifestyle, then you and I are going to have a problem.
You sound Texan for a minute there. That's weird.
I just have a very firm belief in don't fuck with my life.
It is the only way that humans can get along. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a whole other topic of conversation. So here's the focusing, because you said something earlier about focusing on one particular goal. Do you not believe by doing, so for me, I'm focusing on reducing inflammation and oxidative stress. I'm focusing on improving my immune function, and I'm working on increasing, hence the MOTC, my mitochondrial strength, the energy that I can produce at a higher level. I'm also looking at reducing the shortage of my telomere length and increasing the removal of zombie cells.
Yep.
So now, so by focusing on all that, do you not think that would have a spillover effect on many aspects of my life?
Oh, of course it does.
Okay.
That's the cool thing. If you pick your top 1 or 2 goals and you focus on those, they pay dividends in the other areas at different rates. So in that book, I actually, that was Smarter Not Harder. I actually tell you, if you focus on this goal, here's the payoff you get on the other goals on a 1 to 10 scale. Because it is important to understand, if you fix your sleep, which is very high leverage, it improves all of the things meaningfully, right? But you mentioned your mitochondrial strength and inflammation. So when mitochondria aren't working right, they make inflammation.
Yes.
Right? And when they're working right, they don't. And what people don't understand about mitochondria, they are ancient bacteria. That means that if they get stressed and they break, their membrane gets penetrated, they release bacterial fragments, and your immune system goes, I have an infection, and you get chronic low-grade inflammation because there's bacterial fragments, even though they're our own internal, because mitochondria themselves are encapsulated so the immune system doesn't see them. So if you blow yourself out in the gym, you're overtrained, you get other things like that, you get some degree of mitochondrial fragmentation, and it drives that inflammation. So if your lifestyle choice, because you like it, is flying in the odds of reducing excess inflammation and all that stuff, you got to decide, is the goal the real goal? Because it sounds like the goal might be to enjoy yourself in the gym more so than reducing inflammation and living a long time.
Well, what you're telling me, unfortunately, is that doing the kind of higher degree of training that I'm doing is having a contrary effect on the other goals that I'm trying to achieve.
It is. And you got a little cortisol belly going on.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not judging. Right?
No.
Yeah. And you're also like, you have a ton of muscle, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Right. And I'd want to see, what's your VO2 max? And how resilient is your system, which is a measure of neuromuscular coupling and things like that. And what people don't comprehend usually is that your mitochondria are a single organ. They're tiny little things, but they're like a virtual overlay organ. They have their own consciousness, and they all talk to each other. And they talk to each other like in this incredibly complex society where they vote. It's called quorum sensing, and they swap. They'll swap parts with each other, and they'll move themselves around when they need more power. And you can train that system if you know what you're doing.
Okay.
I just met with this incredibly brilliant kind of hidden gem Russian guy who's been studying that for 40 years and developed his own equipment for measuring the ability to do that. And he said that the normal people on his scale, and again, I can't tell you guys the units because this is a guy hiding in a lab, right? He said, well, the units run from the average person 150 of the score, and the highest possible is 3,000. And I sat down and did the thing And he just looked at me. He's like, the highest is 3,123 because I blew the scale out, right? Because I have done neurofeedback I've been doing it for 25 years and I've been running a company for about 40 years of Zen. So I make 3 times larger brain waves in some spectrums than average. Sorry, not 3 times larger, 3 standard deviations higher. So I have like massive brain waves because I trained my mitochondria to make energy to do specific things.
Wow.
Right? So you can train that mitochondrial network to act like a service dog because their wiring is to follow these F words that are behind all of biohacking. So if you're a single-celled organism,
yes,
there's a simple instruction set that you can run on a very small processor because bacteria are kind of dumb. But what are the things you have to do to stay alive? Right? So number 1, if something is scary, you have to run away from, kill, or hide.
Yep. Agreed.
That's fear.
Yep.
Okay. Second F word is food. Eat everything. Right? And since bacteria don't have watches, they don't have time. Like, oh, there's food. Eat as much as you can. Right? The third F word, all life has to do is stay around for multiple generations. You know that one. What was that one?
It's my favorite word. That would be fuck.
Fertility. Dude, this potty mouth behavior, man. So fear, food, fucking. Okay. Is there anything you've ever done that you're ashamed of that wasn't one of those 3 things?
Well, psychologically, if we look at the things, everything that we do is either to gain pleasure or avoid pain. Okay. So, no, I mean, I'd have to do a little deeper rumination on it, but I think everything I've done is either motivated by one of those desires.
Now, your mitochondria are manipulating you like puppet masters because they sense reality before you do. They're real-time machines and they vote with each other. And they're the ones who tell you whether that touch was painful or pleasurable. Because there are some people where if I were to touch their arm like that, they'd flinch.
Yeah.
Right. And other people, you touch it and they're like, ooh. Right. And other people, just no reaction. Okay,
right.
Whatever. So same person. And now, is that autonomic programming? Is that in the brain? It's not a thought because you react before you can think. So what's going on there is you can train your mitochondrial networks to be resilient, to focus on recovery, and to be less reactive to stupid shit. And
really?
that has been my main practice. I spent 6 months of my life with electrodes glued to my head for hours a day.
Yeah.
That's what advanced meditators do. That's why the yogis can lay on a bed of nails and walk on coals and all that stuff without reacting. It's not because they're thinking their way through it. It's because they trained their system to not be hyper-reactive. And if you want to really live a long time, you train your mitochondria to not waste energy on stupid shit so that they can fold proteins with that energy.
I saw your talk on that.
Yeah.
How does one train their mitochondria to not react to stupid shit?
Meditation, breath work, neurofeedback.
See,
and cold therapy. And in fact, this is one you'll love. And this is one that's easy for everyone listening. It's called BICEP. And it's not like this bicep, by the way. That's a caffeine molecule. BICEP stands for brief intentional conscious exposure to pain. So what? Well, monks used to like flagellate. They'd whip themselves.
Yep.
And the yogis lay on the bed of nails. Texans eat jalapenos. Biohackers sit in cold plunges. And Bay Area people hire a dominatrix to get a good spanking.
Yeah.
Right. It's all the same. Oh, and addicts get tattoos and piercings. It's all the same thing. They're intentionally doing something painful for a brief period of time because it changes your dopamine receptor sensitivity by 250%.
Yep.
So if you wake up in the morning, you do something that sucks for 1 minute.
Yep.
It means it takes less willpower to be a good monk or to be a good entrepreneur. Right. So that's an easy way to start training your system to be less reactive, because otherwise, if you can be triggered by anything in your environment by another person, it means literally that you're carrying a loaded gun, someone else's fingers on the trigger, and every time you pull the trigger, your mitochondria are wasting energy that should go into doing things that matter, doing things that are fun, or repairing and recovering. So we're wasting a lot of energy by being triggered by whatever blue-haired nonsense is happening.
That's deep. I agree with you on the cold therapy. I do it every day. My particular rationale is also the 240% increase in dopamine that you experience, but it's also the resilience that I like. It's the fact that I do not want to do it, but I'm going to do it. Yeah. It's going to suck. You're going to feel great afterwards. And it teaches myself the ability to do hard shit.
It's incredibly good. How long do you do it for?
I do it. There was a time when I was trying to just get as low as fucking possible, but now I do it for 2 minutes in a circulating bath at around 40 degrees.
Okay. I'm glad you didn't say 3 minutes or 10 minutes. A lot of, especially men, will just try to make it as cold as possible for as long as possible.
Yes.
And it's the same as exercise. It's a stressor on the system. The idea is to be uncomfortable. 90 seconds is probably enough. Up to 3 minutes is okay.
Yeah.
And above that, it's just more stress. It's not particularly good for you.
Okay.
And I mean, I've gotten full on hypothermia where I'm like trying to drink my coffee and splashing it on my face. And like I was doing IG Live and 15 minutes of sitting, with ice floating around just because I was talking to people and I could do it. And I felt great until the shakes set in and I had to go get in a hot bath and like it was nasty.
That happened to me once.
Yeah.
I did 120 degrees because I have an infrared on and like a heat sauna.
Yeah.
So I did that for, I think it was 15, 20 minutes and the temperature was at $120. And then I jumped in the ice bath and like, fuck me, that was brutal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. My body was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right. And sometimes it's just really tough and you do it. And the numbers are different for women. The evidence is in, doing something that's closer to 48, 50 degrees and 90 seconds, just because women need to be warmer than men. And stress is really important. Doing something uncomfortable, but when you push your stress too far, women feel changes in stress before men do.
Okay.
Right. And so it's still the same stimulus. It's just a different setting. And so that means if you have a couple with cold plunge, you probably should set it at 48. So it's good for the woman. And then if you do that one for 3 minutes instead of for 2 minutes on a colder setting, the most brutal cold tubs are at 37. And those are the things that do the most bicep. And you're in that for 90 seconds. You hate your life, but then you love your life later because you hated it for 90 seconds.
Yes. Okay. I have gone as low as like it was pretty much at 0.
Yeah.
And just to see if I could do it. But as you said, there's the purpose of doing something because to reap the benefits or just doing it. Yeah, you've got me fucking dwelling on that whole excess training shit now. And the fact that
and you're not gonna like this, man, because doing a cold plunge every day is also a form of training. So it's stressful to the system.
Yes.
So it's recovery and training and kind of at the same thing. So a small amount anti-inflammatory, but if you overdo that, so right now you got a system that is way overtaxed. So you're telling your mitochondrial networks in the body, there is something hunting me every day. Right?
Yeah, my teacher, fucking Professor Martin.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. So,
but you have a hard time resting because your mind is restless, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a meditation thing. Or you should come and hang out with me for 5 days in Austin at 40 Years of Zen. And we'll do 40 years of meditation in 5 days because I don't have time to meditate for 40 years. I don't meditate daily at all.
You don't meditate daily?
Not anymore. I did it for years.
I tried it. But you're right. I am always on. My mind is always firing.
Mm-hmm. So you'll love this. When people are really young, they learn one of two strategies to cope with survival if there's any kind of discord in the house. So one way is to feel everything. So then you can emotionally predict what others are going to do because you feel it all. They become empaths and healers and all that. But then they get dysfunctional because they pick up everyone's feelings and they're all over the place.
Very good. Yes.
Okay? The other strategy is to think your way out of it. So both thinking and feeling are survival strategies based on trauma. And when you really, really master these things, you learn that your natural state is to do neither one. And you can feel whatever you want to feel, including from others. And you can think whatever you want to think, but you don't have to do it reflexively. And that's where freedom comes from.
Yeah, that's great. How do you train yourself to be able to master the control that you get to decide if you think your way through something or feel your way something, or I presume that you could just not deal with the situation?
Well, it turns out if you stop thinking, you usually know the solution anyway. It just comes to you without any work. It's much easier that way. It's actually surprisingly easy. There's a way I've written 9 books, half of New York Times bestsellers and all that is sometimes you have to just stop everything. And then, there's the idea. But man, if you push for that idea, the pushing actually pushes it away in a way that's non-intuitive.
So you're saying that you can fixate on something so much that you become resistant to the answer.
Yeah. Like this is why Watson and Crick discovered the DNA structure in a dream. Actually, my grandfather co-invented our process for making plutonium in a dream. And this is why, Ben Franklin, one of the most famous inventors ever, he would hold a marble over a pie tin and he'd sit and like just relax until he was just nodded off. When he would nod off, he'd drop the marble and it would wake him up. And that was where his ideas were. They were sitting there right at the edge of consciousness. So how do you teach yourself to do that? Well, you can get a meditation teacher, but really breath work works better than just meditation alone. And my book, Heavily Meditated, the most recent one, is like it's a list.
Saw the shirt too.
It's a list of all the ways to go into altered states because it's not the same. So one of the problems with meditation, the reason you don't like it probably, I can just tell from chatting with you, is that 95% of humans have been involved in agriculture for the past 2,000 years. Yep. So whether it's some degree of, planting, harvesting, even distributing, grinding grain, all that stuff is agriculture. And the other 5%, they're the warriors, right? So most meditation is meant for farmers.
Okay.
And if you take a warrior, you're kind of an entrepreneur, a little ADHD, because almost all entrepreneurs are.
I don't know if I would have ADHD. I've had someone suggest that to me before.
Yeah. Well, let's say you move fast, even if you don't have ADHD.
Yes,
right?
Definitely.
Right. And you have this like, let's get shit done kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
It's look, if you're a farmer and you're like, let's get shit done, dude, the rice is not going to grow faster. Like you can't do that. Right. You say, well, I made a more orderly row of rice and I'm waiting for the sun to shine on it and making, like it's a peaceful but slow thing. So if you, in a lot of like the meditation headbands and stuff, they're set up for the average brain. And if you don't have an average brain, you can take an A student and make them into a C student very easily with meditation. So if I do farmer meditation, which isn't a specific type, it's many types are designed for that. It just makes me tired and less creative. It isn't that beneficial. So what you'd want to do is meditation that's designed for the kind of person, like if there was an explosion next door, would you run away and hide?
No,
or would you run towards it to help
run
people?
Towards it, yeah.
Okay, that's not normal. Okay, it's not. I would too, because we're wired that way, right? But that is the 5% of people, right? And so everyone else, literally, before they can think, they're out the door, and you're like, who needs help? Okay, this is what first responders are. This is SWAT teams. This is firemen. This is police officers. This is military, right? And a lot of entrepreneurs are this way, in fact, the great majority. So when you're wired that way, your meditation needs to be for that kind of brain.
Outstanding, dude.
Yeah.
Because honestly, when I was doing the ice bath or when I sit in front of the red light, I'm doing some kind of meditation or I listen to binaural beats.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, let's just get this done, man. Like it's fucking.
So for you, so really, I would just plug you in at 40 years in. We'd measure your whole brain, compare it to thousands of people, understand your SWOT analysis.
I would do it. Let's do it.
Train this. Yeah, come on down to Austin. It'll be a powerful week. We've had 1,400 entrepreneurs and all come through the program over the years. It's 5 intense days, man. It's like a marathon for your brain every day, but it's with just training your brain to do what you want instead of what it wants. But what I would tell you, and for listeners who are resonating with this, who aren't going to come down, this is an expensive program. It's an all-in, a whole team supporting your brain. I make something called Satoria, and Satoria is a neurofeedback device that's based on the stuff I just talked about,
right?
That can be customized for your brain.
Oh,
and it's $550 or so to buy it.
Okay,
and then there's a small monthly fee.
Yeah.
So this is an at-home version of it. And then the free version, everything I do, by the way, this is the crazy billionaire level, the moderately expensive level, and the free level. This is an old Japanese concept called Zazen.
Of course. Yep.
And it's for samurais.
Yes.
So have you heard of it?
Dude, I studied martial arts since I've been 15.
Okay. So you send your knees, focus on the little coin in front of you. That's a warrior meditation.
It's still hard for me, bro.
Yeah.
Like
that's why you do it.
Yes, I know. Fuck that shit.
It's hard to lift. It's hard to lift plates, but you do that.
Yes. Going back to your statement about the farm and the rice, I'd be like, grow, let's fucking go here. I have that sort of impatient. And because I have so many things I'm working on right now, that I become less patient.
So that won't serve you in longevity. So I have 8 companies in my portfolio.
Yes.
I actually got a $100 million lesson to sermon. I did not sell Bulletproof. They fired me and sold it to themselves in a big lawsuit and all that stuff. So I have nothing to do with Bulletproof. Danger Coffee all the way that's my new one. And
I saw your post on that too.
Oh, thank you. So I'll say impatience just stresses out your team and it doesn't do anything.
Do I stress you guys out?
They're not gonna tell you either, which is a fun thing. So what you want to be able to do is have that high standard, right? But apply all of your energy to getting shit done and to hiring the right people and training the right people, supporting the right people, so that you actually have peace and you get a lot of shit done, because that's what makes you live a long time. Impatience makes you die more quickly.
Oh, fuck, dude, I know. And that is also like an understanding and a rewiring of your brain, which takes me into what we wanted to discuss today, which is psychedelics.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Yes. So I've had a number of guests that have talked to me about their experiences with Ibogaine, DMT. And on one hand, it seems very attractive to me. But on the other hand, I'm like, what if you see shit? Or what if you open Pandora's box and what you experience is not something you can come back from?
I'm really happy that you asked that question. There's a chapter in Heavily Meditated on psychedelics and what they're doing to your brain and your state and which ones might be good for you. And there is more risk than people talk about with psychedelics. And there's less risk with psychedelics than a lot of approved pharmaceutical drugs. So,
okay.
Right. So, and the risks are different. Some of them are, serotonin syndrome, which is more common than people think. If you're on antidepressants and you take mushrooms or LSD or MDMA or ayahuasca, you can die of like blowing an aneurysm.
Fuck.
Yeah. So that's why I'm never in a medicine space unless someone has benzodiazepines. Because if someone comes out, it's like, I'm having a panic attack. Not during the trip, but afterwards, their blood pressure is through the roof and their heart rate's 140. They need benzos right away and they need to go to hospital. But
that is not selling it to me, brother.
How many medicine people don't have that in their spaces? But there's one that stands out as exceptionally safe. It's the one that we use at 40 Years of Zen. It's the world's first psychedelic-assisted neurofeedback program. And it's ketamine. Ketamine's been around for 70 years.
Okay.
It's on the list of about a dozen pharmaceutical agents that actually extend lifespan, or at least expected lifespan. And ketamine it's in every country. I used to say it's on the WHO list of approved drugs, but that doesn't mean shit anymore. Thank you, Bill Gates, for taking over the WHO.
Fuck you, Bill Gates.
Yeah, exactly. So
all of a sudden our computers start working. Stop working.
Oh, man. By the way, slight aside from where we're going. France and Germany just announced no Microsoft allowed at all because
really
the U.S. government just said that they have the right to ask U.S. tech companies for data anywhere on the planet. And then Microsoft shut down the email account of a prosecutor who's coming after them. So Microsoft is losing all of Europe right now. So maybe being less of an evil dictator is a good idea. I don't know. But back to psychedelics.
Yes. But that is an interesting topic that another time we'll discuss.
Yeah. So ketamine, and we measure people's brainwaves on it and we're providing feedback. So we really know what it does. It lowers anxiety and depression, usually for at least 6 weeks in people.
Really?
Yeah. It also increases neuroplasticity. So your brain's
amazing.
Like you're a teenager. That's why we do it in conjunction with 5 days of intense brain training. Is if you can have a teenage level ability to learn and to resculpt your brain. So
why wouldn't you do it?
Exactly. And the big lesson from ketamine is it shows you that your consciousness can function when you're not in your body really. So you realize your consciousness is more than your meat. And it's a profound experience. And that's one where some people don't respond to it genetically. Some people, it takes a very long time to come out of it. And some people have a genetic thing where it becomes toxic because they can't excrete it if they keep using it over long periods of time. But a single dose like that, or we do a single dose on one day and a smaller dose on the other days to keep the neuroplasticity.
Sure.
Exceptionally well tolerated and well understood, to the point that there's companies even that will like send it to you at home, which I have questions about. With all psychedelics, there is a big risk though. It's that you're going to forget almost everything you did without facilitation and integration. And the problem is if you do a psychedelic, your ego gets everything and you get 5%. unless you do the integration to help you remember it. And this is why, like, one of the riskiest things ever, and my poster child for this is Aubrey Marcus. He's like, bro, I've done ayahuasca 87 times. I'm like, when are you going to notice it's not working? Right? Like, you know, and I'm saying this with compassion, Aubrey, if you're listening to this, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, although that may have. And if it did hurt your feelings, if I can trigger you, you're carrying a loaded gun. Dude, it's not working. Like, so I worry most about Aya as probably the most spiritually dangerous of the psychedelics. And in terms of physical danger, it's Ibogaine is the most dangerous because it's cardiotoxic. I won't do Ibogaine without a physician, a crash cart, and EKGs.
Wow. So there's a gentleman we had on the show that he suffered from extreme PTSD from being in war.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that Ibogaine, so he went to, I forget where he said it was. I don't know if you remember. It was monitored.
Yeah.
Yes,
it was Mexico. Most likely,
I believe it was Mexico. So he did the Ibogaine, and then right after the Ibogaine, he did DMT.
Nice.
And then he said it was life altering. I've had a number of guests that have talked about the God realm, how certain, psychedelics take you to different levels. And it's very, very intriguing to me. But when you just said that, there's some potential calamities that could occur while doing it, I'm like, do I really need to do that?
Well, there's a prescription drug, or sorry, an over-the-counter drug that you can take. It's relatively common. And some people, when they take it, they get a life-threatening autoimmune condition where their skin sheds. It can kill you. You want to take that drug? It's ibuprofen, by the way.
Really?
So the fact that there's risk in everything.
True.
And modafinil, by the way, activates the same pathways. So 5 in a million people shouldn't take modafinil or ibuprofen.
I don't know what the modafinil is.
Holy shit. We got to get you on modafinil. It is the most studied smart drug ever.
Really?
Yeah. It was designed for narcolepsy. I've been on it for 25 years.
Really?
Yeah.
How does that differ from, say, something like, what's the
Adderall?
Adderall, thank you.
So Adderall's an amphetamine,
yes, Ritalin.
Stimulant. Those things are bad for your brain, your neurotransmitters. They had to invent a new name for the class of drug called arousal promoting drugs because it doesn't make you stimulate it. It just promotes arousal via an entirely different pathway called orexin. So when you take this stuff, it literally raises IQ in studies, increases typing speed. Everyone around you slows down. You saw Limitless, the movie?
Of course.
They took modafinil, the cameraman did, to see what the Limitless drug would be. And because when he goes on the drug, the saturation of color changes, and that happens. I took a modafinil this morning. I took 100 milligrams. I take it every morning.
Really?
Yeah, I've been on that stuff literally for 25 years. I would have not graduated from Wharton if I wasn't doping my brain with smart drugs.
That's incredible. Yeah, I got to get that name. And is it prescription based?
It's prescription. Yeah. But that's okay. There's Indian pharmacies. You can buy anything you want on the internet from Indian pharmacies. And Canada is incredibly restrictive on all sorts of stuff.
Oh, fuck, buddy.
Right.
I own a supplement company.
Yeah. I used to have a warehouse in Canada, but it's hard to do that. We have a much larger market south of the border. And man, the amount of cost to get a supplement approved up here compared to the market size is insane.
Could take a year
to
get something approved.
It's inexcusable. Where does it say in the Charter of Rights that they have the right to restrict your ability to eat food?
And not only that, they charge you for the health number, the APN number. Yeah. And you have to pay it consistently. They can arbitrarily come into your facility because I have the manufacturing facility. They can come in at any time. You got to stop everything that you're fucking doing, which has a spillover effect because we sell to like shoppers and all these companies. And if you don't make your deadline, they fucking fine you.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's one of the reasons what I have an issue with.
And you wonder why the cost of food in Canada has gone up 30%.
Mm-hmm.
And you wonder, well, that's kind of not acceptable because the average income across all of Canada is lower than the average income in West Virginia, the poorest of the U.S. states. I'm not saying the U.S. is better. I'm saying Canada needs to make food affordable for our people. My kids live in Canada. I have a Canadian passport.
Mm-hmm.
This is not cool. They need to back the F off.
Yep. We could say fuck. Housing is through the roof. And food prices are just harder and harder for Canadians to to sustain themselves with. So now what they're doing is they're either optioning out for cheaper quality food, which is going to have a negative effect on their health, which is going to further bog down the medical system. It's a spiral of circling the toilet.
There's a way to fix this. Politicians are made out of meat.
So I think green.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. I really appreciate Canada and how welcoming it has been for me. But this current state is something I never would have imagined. I don't know what to do there. Maybe psychedelics will fix it, because we got to finish talking about the other ones. DMT.
Right. So what your personal experience? Because
let me walk you through my experience.
Okay.
So I've along with following this longevity thing for 25 years, I've also been studying consciousness, because I was miserable. I was an Entrepreneur magazine at 300 pounds when I was 23 years old. Full color picture, 80 magazines. The first guy to sell anything over the internet before the browser was invented, before e-commerce had a name. So I tried fame. It didn't do anything for happiness. I tried getting married for 2 years in my 20s. That was not a good experience. Didn't make me happy. And I made $6 million. And these are pre-Biden dollars. That was a lot of money back then.
Still a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. But it was a lot. It was the equivalent of 25 million of today's dollars. I mean, at 26 years old, and then I lost it 2 years later. And when I had
a similar experience.
Did you?
Yeah, not 6 million, but within my first 2 years first year business, became a millionaire.
Yeah.
2 years later, I lost everything.
It's such a lesson. I looked at a friend.
It sucks though, dude. I'd rather not have had that fucking lesson.
You know, I've learned to be grateful for all the lessons. I've had few humans ever get $100 million lesson in discernment. I got that one from the venture capital people at Bulletproof. So
that's unfortunate.
Now I know better, man. It's all good, man.
I don't know, man. Like I have another gentleman friend of mine who was invested in a business. And when you typically deal with people, you expect them to be as loyal as you are. And then when people turn around and they show you that kind of disloyalty or dishonor, I become incredibly violent about it.
You know, the idea of loyalty and all that stuff, you expect them to be that way. And you know, they might not be. My problem was like, oh, even if they're not loyal, we have a deal on the table. You make $100 million, I make $100 million. So any rational actor is going to make that happen. So I'm like, loyalty doesn't matter because incentives are aligned. What I didn't understand, and I put this in Heavily Meditated, is why I think it's my most important book. It's that there are people out there, and their frame on reality is that for them to win, you have to lose.
I think that's a bad business model. I think it's also a bad relationship model. The way I used to do business and the way I still continue to do business is that I need to make money, you need to make money. And if we're having a relationship where there's a third party, let's say a customer, I sell my products to you, you sell my products to your customer.
Yeah.
If I will not fuck you.
Yes, you can't, because it destroys things. That's because you see the world through your lens. The kind of people I'm talking about, their lens is that literally, if they make $100 million and I make $100 million, they lost. I have to lose. So I was dealing with a CEO in particular where if I made anything, he was losing. So they literally drove a $500 million valuation to under $50 million and then tried to sell it to themselves. And it was because this picture, they're not conscious of it. It's called narcissism.
Yeah.
That's what narcissism is. It is that for you to maintain your worldview, someone else has to lose. I didn't understand that. So he was being a rational actor. If you believe what he believes, which is that if I make anything, he's not winning, then I didn't understand there were people like that. I was naive. So now I got the $100 million lesson. That's why I like to share these lessons. And I now have a whole set of testing. So we avoid narcissists in our hiring process. And if one slips through, we have a 60-day expectation for the entire team that we fire those people. Because you always know, as you hire someone and they turn out to not be what they said they were, you always know, and then we ignore it. So I am militant about firing them. Problem is, in Canada, you can't fire anyone because it hurts their feelings.
It's a fucking nightmare to get rid of somebody.
So what I almost did when I was running the business up there was create a new company for each employee, so I could just bankrupt the company, because it's cheaper to bankrupt a company than it is to fire an employee. I had one incredibly bad employee who wanted $250,000 because of all these tick boxes that she had. I'm like, you didn't do your job. You lost $1 million. You lied. So,
off camera, I'm going to tell you some shit.
Oh yeah. Here's what I ended up doing. I found I had 16 employees up there.
Yeah.
3 were rock stars, and
Yep.
the other 13 weren't doing their jobs. And they knew that they were going to get a year of severance if they could just not do their job enough to. So I got to. So I moved the 3 to a new company, and I bankrupted the company. And when I let everyone know, they literally were like, "Where's my candy? Where's my 1-year severance?" I go, "No work, no money. That's how the world works." And they all got their legal 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever of severance. And I felt really clean about that.
What is fucking staggering to me is that, going back to the narcissistic problem, 2 of the people that recently had to be removed from the company suffer from that kind of mentality, and they refuse to see what they did as wrong.
They won't. They can't. It destroys the world.
That fucking is insane to me. No, honestly, and maybe this is shortcoming on my behavior, but I think people should self-reflect and see. Take a look at where your life is. If your health is shit, this is on you. If your relationships are shit, this is on you.
If you overtrain, it's on you.
Get this fucking guy out of here. But we squirreled away from the Ibogaine and DMT. Yeah.
It's because all these people need some psychedelics so that they can.
What do you think of Golden Teacher?
I don't think it does very much.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a story I'll tell you off camera about Golden Tincture.
Okay.
It's funny, but yeah, it's very mild. So here's the deal with Ibogaine. Ibogaine is one of the few substances that raises something called GDNF, which is glial cell derived nootropic factor.
Okay, that's on my pay grade.
That's right. I'm going to explain what it is. So your neurons, you know about those.
Yes.
Right? Neurons are the rock stars.
Yes.
The roadies.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Best way.
That's the glial cells.
Okay.
So if you have a brain injury or had serious PTSD as well, your glial cells are constantly inflamed. You have brain inflammation, and it's basically your roadies are like, they're on strike, and they're
yeah.
So what happens with Ibogaine is a massive rewiring, and this is why when most people take Ibogaine, you trip for about 2 hours, then you have another 4 to 6 hours of kind of in and out. But sometimes for 2 days, your limbs are like all because the brain's putting all its energy into rewiring, so you're kind of moving like a zombie. When I did Ibogaine, I did the full flood dose. I was in it for 2 hours. I had ataxia for about 4 hours, and then said I'm fine. And they made me sit in the hospital bed for another 2 hours. And I went outside and I got a tanny, some steak, and I was done. And like this is like a 3-day recovery process. It wasn't a 3-day recovery process because my brain's already highly optimized. My traumas have been worked on a lot.
Nice.
With neurofeedback, and I've done shamanic training and all. I'm like, okay, I get it. And for the next 3 days, I could feel my brain kind of rewiring. And I think I think Ibogaine is probably something where microdosing might be more appropriate, or a lighter dosing. The whole heavy duty flood dose, except in some cases, it's just higher risk. You could do a 70% dose 3 times versus 100% dose and probably get more benefits with less risk. But regardless, it's a big gun. It's great for addiction. It's great for serious PTSD. And it's even good for brain longevity, but it has its risks. I did go bradycardic on it, which means that happens a lot with tall guys who are muscular. A lot of football players pass out just because it takes a lot of blood pressure to get blood all the way up to the brain.
Okay.
So my blood pressure dropped precipitously, heart rate dropped, and I seized a little bit, and they were standing by with atropine and adrenaline, but I recovered on my own. So
yeah, dude, you're still not selling it to me.
Ibogaine is not something you should start with. It's the last one you should do, except maybe ayahuasca should be the last one. And now Aya is interesting. There is no one recipe for ayahuasca.
Okay.
Every shaman makes it their own way. I think it has the greatest spiritual risk, just from a shamanic perspective. If you have someone who's not conscious, or maybe conscious and evil, I think ayahuasca can install malware. Like it can feel one way and it can do another thing. I've seen great healing. I've had magical ceremonies with Aya. When I first tried it, it was 1999. I went down to Peru.
Wow.
And at the guest house where I was staying, I said, I want to try ayahuasca. And they looked at me and said, "You're white." And I said, "Yeah, I know. But I've actually done my research. I've eaten the right foods and all that stuff. And I want to try this." And I said, "You're going to throw up. Like, this is for locals only." I said, we found a shaman. And it was one of the earlier psychedelic experiences I had.
So did you go through the full ceremony?
Yeah, it was. I didn't. It depends what you define as a full ceremony. So I had. It turns out I needed like about 3 doses of it.
Wow.
So we set up a ceremony. It was actually looking over Sexy Woman, which sounds like Sexy Woman, is one of the ruins out there, and I did the overnight thing and all that.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was food for thought. Like it was mystical, and since that time, I was not called to do Aya until I was 50. And in traditional cultures, unless you're a shaman, in which case you take it every day, you do ayahuasca when you become a man or become a woman, and maybe once or twice in your life. Like it's a very sacred, big thing.
Okay.
It's not like every quarter, every month sort of thing. So I think there are people who believe they're doing good, who are targeting wealthy people with ayahuasca and these like private ceremonies. And some of them are powerful healers, and I love them, and some of them are my friends. And there are others who believe that they're doing the right thing. Like they're not bad people, but Aya wants to get out of the jungle. Just put it that way. And
so you did it when you were 50. You're 52, correct?
53.
Okay.
Yeah, and I actually did it.
You're born October 30th.
Actually, that's my Wikipedia birthday. I cannot get it fixed.
Oh.
So yeah, Wikipedia has the wrong month and the wrong year. And I go and I fix it. And then the Wikipedia trolls run by Big Pharma. Almost everything in Wikipedia is nonsense. You can't fix stuff. Yeah. And so if you're running Wikipedia, whatever your name is, and you're trying to get a donation, fuck off, dude. Fuck you. It's the biggest anti-alternative medicine, anti-functional medicine. It is not an encyclopedia of anything. And I won't use Wikipedia, but yeah.
All right.
I'm a November guy. That's all right. Just, I get text messages on my Wikipedia birthday, and then I also get them on my real birthday.
Okay. DMT. What's your thoughts on that?
So DMT is the active that's in ayahuasca,
yes,
along with an MAO inhibitor. So DMT is much, much safer than Aya.
Okay.
So I would recommend that. But again, mindfulness is important. There's reports of people who are just kind of using it for fun, getting kicked out of the DMT realm. It's kind of like you're supposed to go there at birth, at the height of a sacred orgasm, and at death. Like it's a place where you're connecting with other realms. And so it's something I would do long before I would do Aya. It's much, much lower risk. That said, all psychedelics, a few people, borderline personality and things like that, they do have problems. So even cannabis has a major increase in dementia later in life and psychosis from it. So, but the major risk on cannabis, DMT, not that risky. So I'm about to go down to a place in Mexico with a celebrity, and we're filming an episode of a show on this, and we're going to do a 4-hour DMT journey with intravenous stuff where you stay in the space for 4 hours. And you can't do it because DMT is an 8-minute trip.
I've heard.
And it can be incredibly powerful. But 8 minutes, it's like you're just getting your grounding and then you're out. But
I've heard that the 8 minutes doesn't feel like 8 minutes to you, though.
No, it doesn't. In fact, one good friend, I'm going to avoid naming him because he probably wouldn't want me to, but he had an 8-minute journey, and he lived an entire lifetime, tens of thousands of years in the future, and came back with knowledge of math and physics that no one on earth has.
See, so when you say shit like that, now I'm interested. But when you say shit about, having a heart attack and needing an EpiPen shot, then I'm like, maybe not.
Look, Ibogaine, risky, but very powerful if you have brain injuries and serious PTSD.
Yes.
Worth it, right? Or if you're an addict, totally worth it. Ayahuasca, why don't you just do DMT? And then we didn't talk about MDMA. That stuff is great for trauma as well. Mm-hmm. The new trend in MDMA is injectable MDMA, which is much, much cleaner. You don't get the jaw tension. There is very little hangover from it.
Right.
And it hits in 7 minutes. So that if you're doing it with a partner or at an event or something, everyone goes into the space at the same time, instead of if you take it orally, people are all over.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and it's getting cleaner. And
how long does it last?
About 90 minutes plus a big taper after that.
Nice.
So the challenge here is, where does it say in any organizing document that the government has control over plant medicines? It's insane. They do not have subject over that. The fact that they claimed it is irrelevant. It's like, I can say that I'm made out of peanut butter. It doesn't make it true. Right. So the fact they're saying, we have regulated this. That's because you guys have guns, right? And that's how you can regulate it. But the problem is in the US, the government has less guns than the people. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but people are getting fed up because we want our peptides, we want our plant medicines, we want our quality foods. And if some bureaucrat who's probably fat and probably like hooked up to a computer and being controlled like a puppet by big pharma is going to try and stop it, we're not going to stand for that for much longer. It's just not okay. Our kids are getting sick.
Yeah. I mean, that's all, that's the question though. There's ultimately going to be a line in the sand where people start to say, we've had enough. I just don't know if that's ever the case because I keep falling back to the experience of what happened during COVID. I've never seen a greater atrocity against people than what people had to endure during COVID. And I sometimes question if we have the wherewithal, the strength to fight back now at this point.
You know what? People didn't have to endure it. They chose to.
Right. That's my fucking problem. We willingly, tapped out. We bent the knee. And I was so disappointed in people when I saw that, I get it in the beginning that it was very scary and people were quick to like just listen to everything. But even today with everything that's happening with Fauci, people are still defending the motherfucker. I'm like, what is the problem here?
Those are the same people who are the win-lose people. They're being right.
That's a good point.
Being right is so important to their identity that they're willing to just be stupid and to actually harm themselves. There are still people going out there and getting their 9th COVID vaccine.
Sure.
And their brains are cooked. Like people, the COVID vaccine harms your brain.
Yes.
I saw your protein report on that. Bad for you. And so it's like what I really can't do online dating. I'm too well known, but I did have a profile up for a little while. Without my face, and in it said, I don't really care if you're vaccinated or not, unless it's more than twice, in which case you've failed the IQ test. Right? Because for a long time on those things, like people say, I'm proudly COVID vaxxed.
Fuck you.
I'm like basically pass, and you've just told the world that you're stupid, like you're not dateable. Right?
Yes. Yeah. And you're easily manipulated.
Yeah.
And buddy, when the thing with Fauci just happened over, I'm like, finally, people are going to acquiesce and say, you know what? I fucked up. Still, some motherfuckers are like, dude, they're celebrities. Fucking chick from Pretty Woman. What's her name? Julia Roberts. Yeah. And then you had all these celebrities saying, I still back Fauci. Are you like fucking brain dead? Please tell me, hopefully you're getting paid for this. At least that way I can think that, okay.
They're either getting paid or they're in some sort of weird satanic cult thing. I have a hard time believing that, but man, sometimes I wonder, like, how can you do that?
Yes.
So what I'm working on doing, you maybe you can help me on this, is I'm working on turning Fauci into a verb. Like you Fauci'd that up.
Fauci'd that up.
Don't make me Fauci you. And like we need to make this like a common thing. Like if you're in Gen Z and you're listening to this, like you guys have like Ohio and Glaze and all this other shit, like 6, 7 and all that. So, and I'm going to Fauci on your face. It's like fart, but Fauci. We need to make it like a swear word that means to fuck someone over while smiling and telling them it's good for them. Yeah, it's not just to screw someone up. You have to smile and tell them that they need to say thanks while you're punching them in the kidneys, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll start using it, and then I'll give you like a shout out every time I say it. You got Fauci'd. Right. Thank you, Dave
I'm
Asprey.
serious. I'm gonna start my blog post. And anyone,
do you think anything's gonna happen to him?
I think someone's gonna kill him. There's enough angry people whose families were harmed. There is a crazy person out there. I'm not calling this. I don't want it to happen. But if there's anyone with more hate who's deserved it, I mean, God.
But do you think he operated solo, singularly? I think there's, like we talked about Bill Gates earlier. Yeah. I can't help but think that he had his input on this.
Did you see the Epstein connection with him?
Yes.
Yeah, that was bad news. All right. Speaking of Epstein, we got to talk about something. I am on the Epstein list.
Seriously?
Yeah. Somebody sent him an email that said I was cool. That was my one mention. Unlike a certain person who's not a longevity doctor who masquerades as one, who was in there like 1,300 times. You know what I'm talking about?
Who are we talking about? Peter Attia?
Yeah, that's disgusting. Yeah, Peter Attia didn't attend the birth of his child so he could go to Epstein, or so he could attempt to go to Epstein's island, which he didn't get to go to. Like, that stuff is disgusting, and it's wrong. And Epstein has deep ties to the transhumanism movement. Very deep ties.
Really? So what's your thoughts on transhumanism?
Well, when the idea first came out in the 90s, I was a cyberpunk. I'm a computer hacker by training. Nice. You know, leather jacket, sunglasses, and literally a computer hacker. When I started Bulletproof, I was still VP of cloud security at Trend Micro, one of the big publicly traded security companies. So when I look at the transhumanism and cyberpunk crossover, well, the idea that we're going to upgrade ourselves, dude, I love that.
Me
It's
too.
like upgrade labs. It's like, but what I learned over time from my elders and from indigenous people and just my own explorations, even with technology, is that we have immense hardware capabilities built into our bodies that most people don't tap into. We're already uploaded to the internet. The yogic cities, the psychic powers, the ability to heal people with a thought, the ability to influence others around the world. We have all of that and it's not turned on. We have a firmware unlock and we have a software problem. We do not need new hardware. So this idea, and I love Ray Kurzweil as a futurist. Like he's a diehard longevity guy, and we communicate but the idea there, I'm gonna achieve immortality by uploading myself to the internet. Dude, I want an AI clone of myself too, but it's not me. And
I'm glad we're on the same page with that.
Yeah, we're already uploaded. And so if I had no eye, I would want to grow a new eye.
Yes.
And we're right on the cusp of doing that. I'm right now in discussions on getting my tissues cloned so I can actually grow a new eye, right? So hopefully I'll make an announcement about that shortly. I've already reprogrammed my stem cells. I've had more stem cells than anyone else alive, but
I do stem cells as well.
Yeah, I haven't learned how to grow a new eyeball yet, but we know the path. We just haven't done it yet. And there's probably some regulator somewhere trying to stop it. But
yes,
don't worry, you can do it in another country. So that said, if I couldn't grow a new eyeball, would I have a laser eyeball? That has to be kind of cool. Like I could like see if you're wearing
Kano for sure, dude.
Yeah, like see if you're wearing a bra and panties under there or something. It'd be kind of funny.
Yeah, I am actually.
But like we so the idea of a hardware upgrade is tempting, but it doesn't make any sense to interfere with a system that we barely understand. Humans are quantum entangled. Our mitochondria are quantum entangled. And there's proof of this. Every time your heart beats, the proton spin in your brain changes with the heartbeat, which is proof that we are a quantum system. And a lot of the stuff that's happening on consciousness around accessing the actual quantum reality with mitochondria controlling little antennas called microtubules and all the shit that's in our body, we barely understand that.
Agreed.
So ripping things out to replace it with, the rocket arm, or even like electrodes in the brain. Look, if I was paralyzed, I'd be all over it. But for regular people, look at the history of, let's just say free email. Okay. People gave up all of their privacy. We are tracked all the time so we could have free email. Thank you, Google. Right. Oh, yeah. And how about privacy at your home? Oh, let me have a Ring doorbell. So everyone in the police can look at everything happening in my neighborhood. Like, it's disgusting. So can you imagine what's going to happen when you get electrodes in your head? Number one, Mark Zuckerberg is going to be putting advertising on them and you can't rip the electrodes out of your head. And number two, a bad actor named Fauci or Epstein or Gates or probably Biden. I don't know. There's a lot of bad actors out there. They're going to pass a law that says they get to control what goes on in your head. Like, fuck that.
That is the fear, 100%. Like, you take a look at the obvious benefits of, like, if someone could say, okay, we're going to upload your consciousness into whatever, and that you're going to perpetually live forever. You can change the carbon shell of your body and live forever. I'd be like, fucking sign me up.
Yep.
Right? But then you get into the conflict and the argument about religion. You're playing God. And I'm like, God gave me free will.
No, the last religion I saw said you are one with God.
Right.
So we're all playing God.
Right. So you're against the argument of, for example, what is your opinion on, say, CRISPRs or altering DNA to get rid of any kind of disease? And then there's the fine line of, okay, well, I want to have a child, but I want that child to be blue eyes. I want that child to be 6'3" because I obviously want the 6'7" so they can play basketball. At what point have we crossed the line?
Well, I've already done gene therapy. We do it for our clients that on Live.
I've done gene therapy too. Yeah. I've done Clotho. I've done
Follistatin.
Right.
Good. So there's other viral vector gene therapy that I'll be doing that lasts for 10 years. So
nice.
I'm also a hemochromatosis and cystic fibrosis carrier. I don't have either one of them, but I could have an offspring that has that.
Right. So you've done your DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm doing that right now.
Right.
So, yeah.
So if you could select to not have that, it seems like a good idea. So here's the scary thing. People won't like this. Historically, you would select a mate who was good stock. how dare you select a mate who's good stock? That's not fair, right? You should just pick someone for who they are. And it doesn't matter if they're healthy or have good genes. That is the path to the destruction of the species.
Agreed.
We cannot do that any longer. That's that toxic empathy. That's what that is. So you should want your kids to be the strongest fucking kids on the planet, the best looking, the most muscular, the longest lived, the smartest, the most likely to succeed. And you should do everything in your power to do that. And so should everyone else, because that is how the world becomes a better place.
Agreed.
So
this whole victim mentality and the celebration of weakness fucking pisses me off.
So here's the problem, though. All right, this gets a little bit shamanic, but it also is evolutionary biology and the way things have to work. When a woman's body decides to ripen an egg,
yep,
it takes about 3 months.
Yep.
The egg is chosen 3 months before it'll be fully mature and ready for ovulation. Which egg gets chosen? Well, there's a reason there's 600,000 mitochondria per cell in the ovaries versus under 15,000 in the rest of the body. Because those ovaries are sensing everything in the environment. They're like massive control centers. And they're going, I'm going to choose the egg that's most likely to survive in this stress environment, in this light environment, in this heat, in this nutrition. So there's a lot of eggs available. Only a few ever get selected. And the rest of them, when the woman goes into perimenopause, they pass away. So it's a very precious and biologically important, the most biological important thing for the survival of the species is the selection of the egg. Okay. And then the egg sits there, and then the semen come. And there can be 20 or 30 semen all clustered around the egg, and the egg selects the semen that is most compatible with the egg. Right? And that is a process that we do not understand.
Yes.
But I can tell you that when you say, well, I'm going to force 50 eggs out, regardless of the environment, which is a stress environment, and I'm going to pick a sperm, just a random dude, and I'm not going to let the egg select it. I'm going to just jab it in there and just stick it right in. That is not the way that life is supposed to be, Ken. And it actually has effects. It's called pre and perinatal psychology. And it's an area I've gone really deep on. And the experience you have in the womb, even at conception, affects your personality in life. So if your mom's afraid, your chances of being fearful are much higher. So we need our pregnant women, our mothers, to be well cared for, respected, give them the seat on the bus, feed them the best food on the planet, and treat them with kindness, and don't make them, work their asses off till the last minute, because it affects the survival of the species and the happiness and survival of the kids. So we got to do those first.
Yeah.
And that said, if you can safely say, you know what, this is an egg that has the wrong stuff because it has these things, that's a problem. But wouldn't it be better if we could go into mom and dad before the procreation and we could say, you know what, this gene's fucked up. Let's do this. So I've never said this on the air before because I just figured it out definitively last week. But I have something called Ehlers-Danlos.
Okay.
Or EDS as it's known. This is a genetic defect relatively common of collagen synthesis.
Okay.
So that means my body doesn't make collagen. My tendons are stretchier than they should be. My gut's leakier than it should be. My blood-brain barrier is leakier than it should be. It's a genetic condition. I knew I was hypermobile, but I didn't actually have the full genetics. It's unusual genetics to figure this out. So if I could go through, in fact, I probably will, and it's very likely that I'll create an institution to do this. I'm going to go through and I'm going to edit my own DNA so I make good collagen. Why not? Right? Now, if I could do that, and then if I was going to have more babies, which I'm not, I would want to pass that on to my babies too.
Yes.
So we have a moral obligation to improve the human germline, not by the nasty, like Nazi era shit around this thing. It's to weed out the diseases that have plagued us for generations and have caused immense suffering. And we need to do that in a mindful way that doesn't take away Mother Nature's ability to select the right egg and the right sperm. And this involves removing flawed genes that shouldn't be there. And those flawed genes are the ones that cause illnesses. And it's already been done in China.
I agree with that. And what furthermore, I have issues, or I cannot understand why people take objection to that. I think we, as we've discussed throughout this entire podcast, we should be living optimally. So if we could therefore produce the next generation already with an advantage of being optimized, why the fuck wouldn't we do that?
Oh, because you have toxic empathy.
Yeah, I'm not a big believer of that. I think I just, that whole mentality, I think to me is crazy.
I have a question.
Sure.
Now, Isn't it in your interest for others to have toxic empathy so that you can just do whatever the fuck you want and they just have to take it?
No, and that's a very, very quick question, because I do have that sort of mentality of just rolling over people. No, but it's true.
Yeah.
But back to your point about dealing with narcissism, I do not see a relationship where for me to win, you have to lose. But I also will say that if if people get in my way of what I want, then I will roll over them.
And as you should, and as we all should. And the real answer is to uplift all of us so that each of us has sovereignty over our own thoughts and over our own biology. I know because of the mitochondrial things, we talked about 3 F words: fear, food, fucking.
Yeah.
The next one is friend. We are wired in our bones to be kind to others and to support the world around us. All life does that. You can't have multicellular creatures without this. This is the recipe for life. And the 5th F word, at least for humans, is forgiveness. That's when you go in and
That's I have a problem with.
Well, you got to get over that.
I know, dude. My fucking professor told me the same shit. Like I have an issue with forgiveness because I have the mindset that I'm going to treat you great. I will, if I can help you, I'll help you. Not for any benefit of I owe Bruce. Like, I just think you should help people. I think if you have been blessed in your life, you should treat others with kindness.
Agreed.
But when you fuck me over, I take issue, and I'm like a crow. I will harbor that shit for life.
So all that does is harm you.
I know, I get it. I understand that. But for example, your experience with Bullet, I would not be forgiving of that shit.
So I will tell you, in the year before the Bulletproof thing hit, a family member tried to steal one of my other companies, my sister.
Wow.
Yeah. And I got consciously uncoupled, separated from my wife, and the board put this scheme in place that fired me from Bulletproof and ultimately destroyed a $500 million company. So all in the same year. Now
that's tough to take.
That would have broken most people, and it would have broken me too if I didn't have access to tech-based forgiveness tools. So it took me 6 months of being really angry before I finally stuck the electrodes on my head and I took my own medicine. I did the reset process, which is just a forgiveness process. And you know what forgiveness is? It's letting go of a grudge so it no longer affects you. Now, will I ever be in a room with my former sister? No. Fuck that. She's out of my family. I divorced her, right? Literally, people show you who they are, and you don't have any need to say, I forgive you. You have any need to say that what they did was okay. All you're doing is losing all reactivity to that person. I could walk in a room, a board meeting with any of the people who were complicit in the theft of my $500 million company. And I could look them in the eye, and I'm not going to have any change in my heart rate. I don't care. I'm grateful for the lessons I got, and I'm never going into business with them again, right? But I'm not afraid of them. I'm not mad at them because that's giving them the power, not me. I
get it.
So, dude, I will teach you this in 5 days with a computer. It is not that hard. There's an 8-step process. It works. It's been tested on 1,000+ people. If you harbor resentments, it steals energy that should be going into your company or into your family.
I get it. I fucking know all this.
I'll fix that stuff for you. That's easy. That's a 40 years of Zen. That's what we do.
You have no desire for revenge?
Why?
Payback. Maybe I'm not as enlightened as you.
No, I have better things to do. No, that said, you come into my house and you try and harm me or my people, I will kill you.
Yes.
I'm armed. I know how to do that.
Nice.
There's no question in my mind about that. Right. And you try to steal my shit, I will fight hard. And I did. I hired an attorney. I fucked him up in court. Problem was, they already scalped the thing. And so I'm not saying that you don't protect yourself. I'm not saying you don't have boundaries. Those are important.
Yes.
And you all, especially men, and actually all humans, but men first. It's like if someone's coming after your stuff, you protect it. You don't call 911. Right. You handle your shit.
Yes.
This is something that US and Canada have lost. A lot of Europe too. Like, oh, I'm not allowed to have a pocket knife in Europe. What? Anyway, so
yeah, Canada's just as bad, dude.
Yeah, it's getting nuts.
It's not getting nuts. It's fucked.
That's one thing to defend.
Yes.
But revenge after the fact, the revenge is they get to live their lives. These small-minded, fucked up people. One of the guys so desperate to be famous, he's never going to be famous. He's an asshole, and everybody knows it. Another guy.
But you spoke of narcissism. Now, do you truly believe that these people, either have regret or are cognizant enough to realize what they did?
In their story of themselves, I'm sure I'm the bad man.
You're the villain in somebody's story.
Yeah. And there's actually a triad that people fall into when they're narcissists, where you're going to be their savior, and then when you're not the savior, then you become the abuser, and they're always the victim, and like it's a whole psychological triad that's been well talked about. It's why you don't hire crazy people, and if you do, it's your fault because you hired them. So
yeah, but some people put on a pretense in the beginning.
That's your fault for not having better discernment, man.
Yeah, I
be better at hiring.
Yeah, I don't do the hiring here. So
then torture your hiring people to make them better. I literally we do a lot of quantitative analysis on people before I hire them. And if I get a hint of that, like you lie, you're out. I don't care.
Yep. No, I agree.
Because someone who's going to tell you white lies or especially real lies, they're telling themselves lies too, and they will cost you more than you'll ever know. So, but revenge after the fact, like what's the point? Like,
I feel good about myself.
If you get revenge?
Yes.
That's kind of dark, man.
I get it. I'm embracing that darkness because I treated you with love and respect and the potential to bring you up. Right. And then for you, for whatever reason, you decide to try and take from me. You try and you disrespect me. I just find it like coming from a martial art background, I have very, very strict guidelines about honor and respect. Mm-hmm. And if you to do anything contrary, when I've extended you goodwill, that you try and harm me or disrespect me, yeah, I fucking want blood.
So if I didn't meet your expectations, then it's okay to beat the shit out of me.
No.
But that's what you just said.
No, I said if you do something willingly to hurt me, if you fall short of my expectation.
How do you know if it's willingly or if it's just because I'm a confused
Oh, no, asshole? Come on, dude. You know when someone...
Narcissists are traumatized
That's
people.
their problem, though. Like those fuckers at Bulletproof, right? Yep. Do you think they arbitrarily thought we're going to fuck Dave, or it was just happened by mistake?
Oh, I know very clearly that because of the discovery on stuff, that there was at least a 2-year scheme to do this on people.
Exactly. So I would be...
Now, why did they do that, though? Because they thought it was okay. And I tell you, the punishment for them is living their life.
But do you think they are? Do you think they are?
Oh, that they're in hell?
Yes.
Oh, I guarantee you all narcissists are in hell. Guarantee it.
Interesting.
Right? So it's like, I'm like, yeah, you keep living that life of not being enough, that life of scraping by. Like the CEO had I would call it, although he would call it differently, a $2 million bribe to help this thing happen along. And I kind of got that blocked. And so
would that not be a form of revenge?
No, it was my money. I took it. It wasn't about revenge, but I will admit that I smiled when he left the position without getting the $2 million bribe.
Okay, so
but it's okay to enjoy winning. But if he had $2 million right now and I could make him lose it and I wasn't going to get the $2 million, I wouldn't do it because it'd be stupid. Because I don't care about him. Because I have lost all anger. Because it's not, I will never work with the guy again.
Yeah.
But what's the point of being angry all the time?
I don't think you should ruminate on the anger, but if an opportunity comes up for you to fuck somebody who tried to mess with you, I will take that shot every time.
Yep. It's something that isn't worth your time. Because what's it going to do? Then they're going to fight back. And now you're engaged in some shit you don't want. Right? So this is one of the biggest lessons of my life is that, because I used to be very revenge based and it was like, you fuck with me, I'll take you down and all that stuff. It's still very true. Like I'm peaceful, man. You want to be the warrior in the garden, not the gardener in the war.
100%.
And so you really shouldn't do that. But you know, I have people for that. I have teams for that. I have all the shit that I need. But if something's happened in the past, I'm going to fully let it go so it doesn't trouble me at all. Right. And by the way, every single one of those people, you're a fucking master of martial arts. Aren't you supposed to be able to feel their energy and not do the deal with them ahead of time?
No, true enough.
So
true enough.
Your discernment is the problem, not the other person. There are always going to be assholes in the world. You need to be a better person at picking the non-assholes to deal with. You're blaming them because they didn't meet your expectations. Your expectation was reciprocity and loyalty. Most humans don't have that.
I think that is probably a shortcoming that I've adjusted myself now.
Most entrepreneurs have to do that.
Yeah, because I naturally presume that if I have a certain personality towards you, that it will be reciprocated, and that's quite often not the case, which is disappointing.
That's a fairness trauma. It's the two traumas for adults are betrayal and unfairness or injustice.
Yes.
So here's the thing. At some point in your childhood, you learned that life is fair, which is totally not true. Life is not fair.
Yes.
And you still expect fair dealings in other people. That is a false belief in reality. And if you clean your lens of the world up, so you see the world through real eyes,
yes,
which is that, you know what? Most dealings are not reciprocal. And you only do dealings with people where reciprocity is welcomed and returned. And that's your standard.
Yes.
You're not angry about it anymore because you realize the world isn't fair. So I dealt with betrayal and injustice at the deepest levels at the same time. And I'm telling you, it would have broken me if I had not done this advanced forgiveness process because it was too much to carry. I literally would have showed up in someone's office and it would have been bad. And I can sit here and I can say, I got $100 million lesson and I'm grateful for it. And you can tell that I'm telling you the truth.
I want to talk to you about that diode system, the diode that you hook up to your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk off camera about that. Okay. I want to try it.
Yeah. By the way, that's called Satoria. Do you know Satori, the state?
Of course.
So very few people know about that. There's a story from, this is a Japanese Zen Buddhism story. And so I named the neurofeedback equipment that people can use at home Satoria, because I didn't want to like steal the whole Satori name because that felt disrespectful. But my favorite story is there's two samurai there. They're fighting, and one of them fights the other one. So he's falls off a cliff and he's holding onto a vine, and the one who's standing on the cliff is about to cut the vine, and the guy hanging on the vine notices a pink flower that's perfect right in front of him. That's Satori. He's so present in the moment that even though, he's about to fall down the cliff and die, the absolute beauty of what's in front of him, he was able to just bring it in, right? And so Satori is that fleeting moment of full awareness of what's in front of you. And Satori meditation is around awareness of the present moment. And so that's why I named the neurofeedback company that.
It also sort of plays on the word euphoria too.
It does, yeah.
Brother, thank you so much.
Great pleasure.
Man, dude, it was an honor. We're out.